This is Inspirational Grandma 8 coming to you again with another new message. And my message today is to never give up. I'd like to tell you a story, and this is a true story. It happened about 4,000 years ago, so it's a long time ago. But it holds true even to today's living. Our lifestyles are different today than they were 4,000 years ago, but the story is still the same and lives for us today. And this story is about Joseph of Egypt. So there was this mother and father that had 12 sons. And one of their youngest sons was the dad's favorite. In those days, that was a painful thing, but it would be today too. And anyway, his name was Joseph. The older brothers, they were very jealous of the attention that the father gave to this younger son. But this son was very obedient. He did everything the father wanted him to do. He learned everything. He was highly educated. And the father found favor in this boy because he was so easy to teach and easy to raise. And anyway, the other brothers, like I said, were very jealous. And one day they devised a plan that they were going to get rid of this brother, that he's nothing but a thorn in their side. And they're tired of father favoring him or appearing to love them. The father loved all his sons, but he did favor this one boy, the one son. So the other brothers, they didn't like it. And they devised a plan to get rid of Joseph once and for all and be done with this younger brother. So they didn't want to kill him or anything, so they said, well, let's throw him in a pit. So they did. They threw him in a dark, deep pit and thought, what are we going to do with him? Well, one day as they were out into the field doing their jobs and doing their work, taking care of the sheep and things like that, they saw a traveling caravan of traders that was coming down the road. And one of the brothers said, let's sell Joseph as a slave. Let's get rid of him. They can take him far away from here and we'll never have to see him again. And so the other brothers said, yeah, that's a great idea. So they did that. They pulled him out of the pit. And Joseph, as you can imagine, 17 years old, just a teenager, crying and pleading for his brothers to stop doing this to him. But they weren't listening to him. And they did sell him to the traders. The traders tied a noose around Joseph's neck and dragged him behind the camels and the donkeys and took him to Egypt. Well, in Egypt, there was a palace guard, a guard to the palace that was high position. The traders sold Joseph to Potiphar. Potiphar now took Joseph in and used him as a house slave. So in the house, Joseph did all kinds of demeaning chores and everything, did everything that Potiphar told him and commanded him to do. And as a slave, he was very obedient and did everything that was commanded of him to do. Well, Potiphar traveled frequently on his line of business to prosper and make a living for his family. So, but in the meantime, while he was watching Joseph go about the other slaves and working in the house and everything, he saw something special in Joseph. He saw that Joseph never lied. He never tried to sneak out of work to do. He was very humble and would bow his head before the Potiphar and humble himself and do all the chores that Potiphar had commanded him to do. And so Potiphar, liking the style of Joseph and seeing the honest and integrity in this young boy, he said, I'm going to upgrade your status and make you assistant of my household. So in my absence, when I travel, you are the Lord over the other slaves here. You will command them what to do, and you will run my household in my absence. So Joseph was promoted to a higher position in Potiphar's home. Well, on one particular trip, as Potiphar had left, and was gone for a while, Potiphar's wife took a very much liking to Joseph. He was a young man, good looking, strong, beautiful inside and out, and she liked that. Well, one day she approached Joseph and said, "I want you to be with me." And Joseph said, "I cannot do this thing." He said, "Potiphar is my owner, and he trusts me to run his house in his absence. I cannot betray him in this way." And Potiphar's wife, she got so mad, and she says, "But I want you. I am your boss. I am mistress of this house, and you must do what I say." And he said, "I am true to my God, and I am true to Potiphar. I will not do this deceitful thing." And so he ran out of the house, away from Potiphar's wife. Well, Potiphar's wife, she screamed and yelled and said, "Oh, he molested me. He did these things to me. He wronged me and shamed me." He didn't do any of those things, but she lied and said that he did. Well, when Potiphar got home from his trip, he heard all the drama that had gone on, and Joseph tried to plead and say, "I did not do these things." But Potiphar threw Joseph in jail, threw him in a prison of those times, in that time and age. So now Joseph's in jail for something he didn't do. Well, remember in some of my past episodes I've told you that everybody is born with a gift. Everybody's born with some kind of a talent. And Joseph's particular talent was that he could interpret dreams. Now, back in those days, 4,000 years ago, when somebody had a dream, they saw a message in that dream. They saw something that was a higher power that was trying to tell them something. Well, while Joseph was in prison, there was these two particular prisoners, a butler to the palace and a baker. Well, the butler, one day, he was very stressed out, and he said, "I had this horrible dream." He said, "I don't know what it means." And Joseph says, "Well, tell me the dream. Maybe I can tell you what it meant. Maybe I can decipher what it is." And so Butler says, "Well, all right." So he tells Joseph the dream, and Joseph says, "Well, in 3 days, you're going to be released from prison, and the king is going to put you back in his service again, and your life is going to be good." And the butler was so happy, and he says, "Oh, I hope so much that your dream is true." Well, 3 days later, he was called out of the prison, and he was put back into the service of the king, and his life was very good. But Joseph had asked him, "Please, when the king puts you back in his service, please don't forget me. Tell the king I've been put in here wrongfully." And the butler said, "Oh, yes, I will. Well, he didn't. He totally forgot about Joseph and went on with his own happy life. Well, a little while later, the baker hears about the butler's dream coming true. So he said, "Joseph, I had a bad dream last night, and please tell me what it means." So he told Joseph what his dream was, and Joseph says, "Baker, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're going to be released from prison in 3 days, but you're going to be killed. The king is very upset with you, and he's going to put you to death." And so the baker, of course, was very distraught. Anybody would be. But 3 days later, he was pulled out of the prison, and he was put to death for his dishonesty and stealing from the king. So now Joseph is in this dark, cold, dungy prison for something he didn't do. The butler had forgotten about him. The king has no knowledge of him or anything. Potiphar has just thrown away the key and not remembering Joseph at all. So now Joseph is in this suffering for something he didn't do. Well, sometime later, about 2 years later, the king now is having a bad dream. And nobody in the palace can tell him what it means. Now the butler remembers Joseph. "Oh my gosh, he's still in prison. I forgot about him." And so he goes before the king and he said, "King, I think I know somebody that can tell you what your dream means." And the king says, "Bring him before me." So they send for Joseph out of the prison, bring him before the king, And the king tells Joseph his dream. Now, Joseph says, I believe this is what your dream means. And he told the king what the dream meant. And it did come to pass. All the things that the king had dreamt did come to pass. And it was telling of the future of Egypt. Now, I'm going to stop at the story at that point and let you reflect back. Now, Joseph, as a young boy, very obedient to his father, told the truth all the time, was good in his life, tried to please those in authority. But instead, his brothers being very jealous, they threw him into a pit. And he very sad. Then he's sold as a slave. Then he's accused falsely by Potiphar's wife. Okay, so every time he tries to do those things which are right and correct, he gets punished in some way. Is that right? No. Is it justice? No. Okay, bad things do happen to good people many times. But does that mean we need to give up? No. Keep going forward. So let me finish telling you about this story, what the king did. When he realized that the words Joseph had described of the dream and discerned truthfulness of the dream, the king was so happy and so pleased with Joseph that he made him ruler over his kingdom, second only to the king. So now Joseph has been given all this power to control, to judge, to rule over millions of people in that kingdom. So he was raised to a much higher status. But it took about 20 years or more to get there. Okay? So if you're doing good things, the reason I tell you this story, kids, is because if you're doing good things in your life and you're being honest and you're being truthful and bad things are happening to you, please don't give up. Keep going. It's a test. This is a test in your life. Joseph's life was a test. It wasn't handed to him easily, but it was to see, is he going to stay true to his character? Is he going to stay true to the things he knows that is right to do? Choose the right, always in your life. Never give up, even if bad things are happening to you. Never give up. Keep going forward, keep being honest, keep being truthful, and keep being who you were meant to be. You are a wonderful child of Heavenly Father. He sent you here. This is a test of life. And I tell you this story. I hope that this story can help you. Remember it. Joseph of Egypt and all the trials and tribulations that came in his young life. But look what happened in the end. The rest of his life was beautiful. He got married, had children. He was second only to the king in that kingdom. So he was loved by everybody. All right? And he forgave those that hurt him. And he was reunited with them at some point later in his life. Anyway, I tell you this story, and I hope that you'll remember it and use this story in your own life. Keep going forward. Be the best you can be, and never, ever, ever give up. All right. I love you so much. I will see you again next Sunday. Be great in your life, and God bless. Okay, bye-bye.